How's it going, you sexy beast? Today, SOE released a new patch that is to be the forefront of what is to come in next week's patch as well. But today's patch in particular, though, focused on some much wanted vehicle changes in the form of some Liberator tweaks, tank turret stabilization, quality of life implementations in regards to medics and engineers, as well as some other delicious goodies. All of these changes discussed in this video are live right now, so open up your game and patch it! As always, the official patch notes are listed in the description so you can read along or see all of the changes for yourself. Keep in mind that I'm not going to cover every single bullet point posted, just the ones that I find the most interesting or the most game-changing. Starting off with the beef of the patch, and the biggest part that I think that most players will want to hear is that Liberators are getting an overall tuning this patch. Now, don't go crying, "Oh my god, my 750,000 cert lib is now useless!" Your Liberator will still be an annoying flying sofa designed to essentially farm any of those unfortunate enough to be playing as infantry, but the weapons for it are going to be ushered into a more focused role than before. Firstly, the overall armor of the Liberator is getting reverted to what the values were listed before the hastily released Liberator update. Resistance to armor-piercing cannons have been reduced by 30%, resistance to heat rounds have been reduced by 43%, and resistance against dumbfire rockets has been reduced by 18%. As stated, these values are just reverted numbers from the Liberator update, so your Flying Fortress won't be able to take on so many hits and stay aloft. Composite armor has not been changed to compensate, so the composite armor values are remaining the same. Since the stock armor values have been tweaked though, composite armor will be not as effective as before. On to the weapons, and we'll start with the most iconic of the three, the C-150 Dalton. This weapon is having its infantry effectiveness reduced in lieu of being stronger against vehicles. The splash damage of the 150mm shells has had its destructive capabilities completely removed against vehicles that typically avoid splash damage. Say for example, you land your shot a meter away from a prowler. The tank will not take any damage. You'll need a direct hit in order to deal any damage to the armor. For that, the direct hit damage is being increased. To counter its extreme infantry potency, the blast radius and splash damage are both being reduced. A direct hit will annihilate the crap out of any infantry soldier, but you'll need 3 indirect hits in order to kill them, even if they're within the maximum blast damage radius. Total ammunition capacity is also being reduced by half, so you'll start off with 20 rounds in the reserve as opposed to 40. Maxed ammo capacity will yield you only 40 more shells as opposed to the previous 120. Next up is the L-105 Zephyr. It had its effectiveness reduced against vehicles as well as infantry. Splash damage, direct hit damage, and ammo capacity have all been reduced. As stated with the Dalton, you'll need 3 splash hits in order to kill an infantry soldier, or 1 direct hit to their face. Ammo capacity has been reduced from 90 shells to 60. Ammo Reserve Cert will yield you 6 more shells per rank as opposed to the 18 shells previously. With the reduced damage overall, it will take 1 or 2 more direct hits with the Zephyr in order to take out different vehicles than before. This ranges from 1 more hit to take out a max suit, all the way to 4 more hits in order to take out a Galaxy. On to the last belly gun of the for the Liberator is the AP-30 Shredder. This is getting a hell of a nerf, but not in regards to its statistical damage, rate of fire, or anything like that. Its tiny splash damage is being removed entirely, making it a necessity to hit targets directly. To layer on top of it, maxes are getting additional armor-piercing resistance to become stronger against weapons that use the armor penetration damage type, such as the AP-30 Shredder. To make matters worse, the base ammo carrying capacity is being reduced from 1,250 rounds to 500. On top of it, ammo reserve certifications only increase the additional capacity by 50 rounds per rank, as opposed to the previous 120. Be frugal, those who use the Shredder. Your ammo reserves are being cut by nearly 60%. While we're still on the topic of air, ESFs are getting a bit of loving too. Rocket pods have been nerfed just a tiny bit to where you'll need an entire salvo of rockets to hit the rear armor of a main battle tank in order to put it in a critically damaged state, as opposed to destroying it outright previously. Hornets got a bit of a damage buff of 200 direct damage. Air Hammer is being nerfed to the ground in regards to combating heavily armored targets such as main battle tanks or flying battle tank liberators. Max damage, magazine size, and damage ranges are all being reduced in order to make the weapon an even more close range airplane mounted shotgun. Also, Coyote missiles now reload a second longer from 3 seconds to 4. Yeah, that should fix the air meta game for sure. Last bit of deliciousness for vehicles is the tank turret stabilization. Previously, if you wanted to fire your tank cannon while on the move, you typically just had to sit your big hunk of tank ass still and line up your shot. This was due to the turrets flying all willy-nilly if you just touched a pebble with your treads and just made firing on the move nigh impossible. This also made armor column battles very, very boring, as everyone would just sit and shoot at each other like everybody is playing World of Tanks. Yippee! Anyway, turrets have now been stabilized, meaning they will attempt to keep their vertical elevation while the chassis of the vehicle traverses the planes of Araxis, unless you hit the maximum viewing degree constraints while driving. Also, the Vanguard got a buff to its acceleration. Yay, it's still the slowest tank of the three, but now it's not as bad. As for the rest of the patch, it's all quality of life stuff in regards to things that should have been in the game a long time ago. Engineers can now deploy their ammo packs just by pressing their ability key, which is F by default. They'll haul that little sucker as hard as they can instead of finding the most perfectly leveled bit of grass to lay the ammo dispenser down in its most comfortable position. Also, ammo packs aren't even accessible in the inventory screen anymore, so newer players can equip C4 without fear of losing their ammo packages, or veteran players won't need to do the tedious act of pulling out their mana turret, pressing B, and then deploying it on the ground in a scene where the ammo dispenser sees fit. Explosives that were placed in order to detonate a vehicle that were detonated prematurely from a friendly's explosive will now yield both parties the full amount of kill experience awarded. Say, for example, I place 3 anti-tank mines next to a deployed Thunder, and a friendly heavy assault shoots them with the Decimator rocket right as I'm about to shoot them. Instead of him getting the experience exclusively, I too will net the full amount of experience from destroying the vehicle. Combat medics can now choose what to do with their medic tools. Left click will heal allies, while right clicking will attempt to revive any unfortunate soldier's soul. You'll no longer have to fiddle through to find the right angle of shooting your delicious green mage beam through your teammate's legs in order to revive your squad mate. Also, the medic's regeneration field deployable now properly shows its radius depending on how many ranks its user had certified into it. Here's a quick comparison between rank 1 and rank 6 regeneration fields. So there you have it, you sexy beast, the patch notes for PlanetSide 2, released on the 19th of June, 2014. What are your thoughts on the patch itself? What is your absolute favorite part of it? Or do you just hate every single freaking bit of it and you just want it to be reverted, never want to see it again? Let me know in the comment section below. Personally, I love Liberators getting nerfed and the turret stabilization of tanks. I might actually have to pull armor every once in a while, now that it's not a pain in the ass to shoot anything anymore. Yay! Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big ass thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs it down and let me know what I can improve upon. It helps out a ton. Make sure to check out the description to find the patch notes of this update, as well as checking out the links to follow me on Facebook and Twitter to see all the happenings of the channel, as well as considering becoming a certified badass on Patreon. Thank you all so very much for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like these, then go ahead and subscribe. It is absolutely free.